Okay, so let's start with this 10 minute speaking. Let's do it. Really good. Let's say you're free of public speaking, right? So you're about to walk down onto the stage and you feel anxiety. The default state of someone who doesn't want to have the experience is to figure out each one to define to worry about spirit and meaning anxieties and just by the thought of what you have to do. Then once you feel the butterflies, you you work with them, right? You contract, your mind contracts around it. Your conversation with yourself is an happy one. It's like them and this person just like can see people who's on the time they are relaxed, and happy. When my end you're talking to yourself, not listening is because your thoughts just come up behind you and fast as they can, and they seem to be you, right? To identify with each thought and immerse in consciousness. And most people live their lives as thoughts they know alternative. We will not give you the rule book for how to operate a human mind, right? There's no place in normal education where we are it is indicated that there's an alternative here, and so we get to kind of stumble out into adulthood. Well, there's so many happy ways of the mind we have, and there is there's the only thing we do to really operate a framework is to just add new content. We can add books, we can develop interest, but there's nothing at the sort of root level of our emotional cognitive life that can change. If you feel anxiety, that's only a place from which you can just feel it, right, and be absolutely indifferent to it or anything else you could be feeling. I mean, just talking today, even unpleasant sensation, but first you know that anxiety it isn't even that unpleasant. It's so close to excitement, and it's also physiology. Really, the difference between excitement and anxiety is more or less just reframing. It's just a story telling yourself. You felt these tingles, and this set an underized response right before you're about to go on a roller coaster. That's not why you're going on about roller coaster, right? You have but by the fact that you feel that way, we're about to have an interview, we're about to walk on a stage and in turbo, right? So just dropping back and realizing the power of framing is beginning this skill that is fairly aesthetic one, but now many people are looking at the secrets out. Most of people care about can be thought of as a skill, right? I mean, maybe it's a skill, not suffering unnecessary. Is just noticing your emotional life and creating negative emotion is a skill. The moment you begin practicing mindfulness, to just learning to pay close attention to the nature of your spirit, adding anything to your spirit, you're just noticing what it's like to be you moment to moment, but in a way that is non-reactive. You're not grasping a one person or pushing that one person where you're just that is the story of telling yourself a story you're thinking, and you can it become more and more mindful of what instructor more and more. You can reframe this continually and tell yourself about the story, but you can actually just engineer. You can change the code that you're learning moment to moment. Instead of use of negative imagination you think of all of the bad things that haven't happened to you yet, right? So you could just go in traffic, driving the job that you don't like, and you're frustrated. You can think of all the things that could happen to you, right? That haven't. And if any one of them happened to you, you could consider your prayers and ensure you could just be returned to this moment. And you could be a guy who today is going to find out that you've got 2 months left, right? And you have to then next 2 months be spent just unguarding your worldly affairs, right? You know the guy, right? That hasn't happened to you yet. That's just more thinking, but can have a profound effect. You can reframe your experience in a way that doesn't actually change anything material about your circumstance. I can let it the light in, and there's many techniques like that are just a matter of evoking useful concepts skillfully. So which of this you're enabling and begins to bounce. And even those who aren't actually afraid to fly, can feel anxious in significant turbulence. Now, when do we feel anxious? Well, we have been taught that turbulence might be anxious, right? That it makes it more likely the plane will crash. And of course, truly, significant turbulence can cause plane to crash. But as we know from the statistics, plane crashes is a very, very rare thing. So now, unless you are in that rare and horrible experience of being actually thrown around the cabin so as get injured, it's likely that the bouncing is not physically painful, risk you not being harmed by this sensation, and in other contexts you will subject yourself to even more violent bouncing and not be worried about it at all. You might go on a ride at an amusement park, which exerts greater force on your bodily, and you do it because you're seeking the experience out. And then an airplane is totally welcome to you. But you just take the raw sensations, not your problem. It what they pretend. It's your interpretation of them. Of course, there are at least two levels of which you can deal with this. First is to think conceptually about the nature of the problem and about what you fear. Is it rational to worry that your plane will crash if you are experiencing turbulence? No, actually it isn't. The likelihood of dying in a plane crash is minuscule. Over the course of your journey, you should begin to worry as you leave the airport and get in an Uber or a taxi or drive yourself home in your own car. So, if you understand that, if you understand that every moment in plane is in fact safer, the moment you spend on the ground still safer than when you're working as a pedestrian. Fixate this on your smartphone and stepping into the crosswalk. That's when your adrenaline should surge. Those are the moments where the sweat should begin beating up on your forehead. So when you're in a plane and this begin to bounce, it is in fact unreasonable to worry that the bouncing means much of anything. If you understand that actually can have an effect, they can become willing to just experience the raw sensations of turbulence. They can cease to interpret the experience as a sign of actual danger. The level can address this, and these are totally compatible moves. I recommend both of them is to become mindful of the feeling of anxiety itself. What is it, and what does it mean? Well, it's just a pattern of energy in your body, and it actually doesn't mean anything at the level of our sensation. You might have thoughts about it, and very much about your thinking in your moments is purpose to figure out how to feel it that way on not the course, but step out of your thoughts and just become willing to feel the raw sensation of anxiety. Actually, just surrender the resistance to it. Just feel it as energy. It can lose its meaning. It can become very difficult to distinguish from what under another framing would be a positive experience like excitement. How do you know the difference between being anxious or something that about to happen and being excited? For the most part, it is the thoughts you're thinking and you feeling that arousal. There's an alternative conceptual overlay on top of this raw feeling. You can constantly reframe things, or you can step out of it altogether and just feel the raw energy of experience. And when you do that, anxiety can be like any other experience that has no meaning for you as a person really isn't saying anything about you. So let's say you have rash on your elbow and it's itching. Okay, that doesn't say anything deep about you. As a person, it has no physiological implications. It may be unpleasant, it might be extraordinary unpleasant, but it doesn't reach into your sense of who you are. The deep was going to respond to anxiety. Again, I'm not saying that there is no case in which drugs are valuable or very necessary. They may well be, but for anxiety in its more ordinary range, the deep way to respond to it is to become willing to feel it, to cease to interpret it as important, and to function in the midst of it. And it will pass. Anxiety rises, falls like any other emotion, and if you're not continually thinking the thoughts that have your answers, as they can't stay around very long. They show for the unpleasant emotions like anger and sadness, and they are continually restricted with our thoughts. And we're spending most of our time thinking about the tone that we're thinking. So mindfulness in particular is a very good antidote to this problem. The trick is you can't apply it as an antidote. You can't be mindful of anxiety so that it will go away. You can look really feel it, let it burn bright in you and discover that it doesn't matter. Simply comes and goes and you can function. Alright, so that is the end of the 10 minute speaking. See you guys in the 30 minute speaking. Alright, let's do it.